4 of the Western Conference semifinal series. A look at the starting lineup. San Antonio going small. Evening because of that sprained right ankle. He says it's still sore, but he is starting. Here's Tony Parker getting inside. So the Spurs with the first bucket of the game. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr and Cheryl Miller. The Mavericks with a 2-1 lead on San Antonio coming off the victory here on Saturday night. Josh Howard for Devin Harris with a wide open shot.
Now, Marv, right away you see San Antonio going small with this starting lineup, trying to match up with this Dallas quickness. And part of the game plan tonight, make Devin Harris beat you from the outside. Bad sign for the Spurs. He knocks the first one down.
Devin Harris has been sensational. He's been in the starting lineup the last 2 games. Barry shot rejected by Job. Bowen, Nowitzki with the rebound. And broken up by Finley.
And Dallas really has dictated the pace and the terms of this engagement due to their speed and their quickness. San Antonio just trying to figure out a way to match up.
Howard tried to go high off glass. Handled by Duncan. A one-time Maverick, Michael Finley, hearing some boos from this crowd. Brent Barry once again in the starting lineup. Tony Parker called for a traveling violation. The San Antonio Spurs were certainly unhappy with the Dallas Mavericks going to the line 50 times in Game 3. They hit 39 of 50. Dirk Nowitzki spending much time at the line. He was 21 of 24. Harris once again to the bucket, trying to give it back. Jump on the recovery. Shot clock to 2. Nowitzki for 3. Rebounded by Duncan.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Spurs team scramble defensively so much. San Antonio doubling on every possession.
Michael Finley, San Antonio with a 4-2 lead. It was Dirk Nowitzki, who happens to be a good friend of his former teammate Michael Finley, who suggested in the media last week, you know, it's about time you start to boo Michael Finley. So he's been hearing the boos the past couple of games.
You can't boo Michael Finley, can you? I guess you just boo whoever's on the other team, even if you like him.
He was a star here in Dallas for 8.5 years, made the All-Star team on 2 occasions. Nice give and go and jump, comes up short, able to rebound. Howard back to jump. Pass intended for Nowitzki. Barry with the save.
Well, San Antonio looks pumped here tonight. They know they have to play with a lot of emotion and intensity just to match this Dallas team's athleticism, Marv.
And once again, the boos rained out on Finley, and he is fouled. He was tripped up.
Greg Popovich told us before the game, he said, this is all about defense. We've built this team on slowing people down, keeping them out of the lane. Dallas just getting way too many easy points in this series.
Parker. Well, Tony Parker with a couple of early buckets the other night in Game 3, just 6 of 16 from the field. This after a magnificent regular season, averaging 19 points, 6 assists.
He's one of the keys to this game. You see San Antonio going to him early and often, trying to attack Devin Harris. Parker is a huge key in this game, and to this point, he has been unable to get his game on track, shooting just 40% in the series, scoring 16 a game. Really, he's been outplayed by Devin Harris.
Tony Parker has been bothered by bruised thighs, but he says he's all right. He insists he's okay. Duncan had it knocked aside. Good hustle by Jump, and it will be a jump ball.
Allow him time to pick out shooters out of that double team.
How about earlier tonight here on TNT? Just moments ago, Cleveland able to wrap it up. 2-point victory over Detroit. So much for the guarantee by Rasheed Wallace. So that series is tied at 2. LeBron at 22 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Nowitzki with a rainbow. Dirk Nowitzki had a most unusual game the other night. 27 points on only 9 shots, spending much time at the foul line. Offensive foul on Brent Barry, so Dallas gets it back. Spurs with a 6-4 lead. We are just underway here in Dallas. Howard, the long rebound is handled by Barry.
Rebounds so key for San Antonio with this small lineup in particular. They've been outboarded by Dallas by an average of 5 per game in this series.
Duncan way off. He's trying to go glass, and it's Handled by Nowitzki.
Frenetic pace here early on, where you can understand, you can feel the importance of this game for both teams.
Nowitzki with the fadeaway. He's hit 2 of his first 3, and the game is tied at 6.
I think Popovich is willing to live with those shots, though, Marv. He just can't allow Nowitzki to get to the free throw line.
Beautiful move by Parker, and draws the foul in the act of shooting. And there are 2 schools of thought here. They are matching up against Dallas.
Well, that's the question we asked Greg Popovich, and he said the problem is they just can't find anybody for Rasho Nesterovic or Nazi Muhammad to guard, because if you bring them in, they have to cover the big guy, Diop or Dampier. That puts Tim Duncan on Nowitzki, and San Antonio can't afford to get Duncan in foul trouble.
Howard shooting for 3. The Mavericks have certainly been more selective in terms of shooting from downtown.
Just 25 three-point attempts through 3 games in this series, Marv. As you see the foul on Dallas.
Has checked in for the first time. Manu Ginobili has come on for San Antonio. Spurs up 8-6. Duncan is wide open. Comes back to Parker, and they get the new 24. Parker probing and chased by Dampier. Shoots the jumper and hits. And Greg Popovich telling us earlier, he told Tony, take 20, 25 jumpers. I don't care, but you got to shoot from the outside.
Yeah, his aggressiveness is key. That's a big jumper for Parker. Nowitzki knocks down another one. But when Parker makes a couple of outside shots early, Marv, it gives him the confidence that he needs to then attack the rim and get his game going. And I think that's a big factor here early on. Can Parker make a couple more and loosen up that Dallas defense?
Tony is 3 of 4. He has 8 points. Beautiful move again. Put the speed on, got the step. Suffered that injury with about a minute left in the game. Came up with a huge rebound after it, although he limped through the final minute. Avery Johnson says this is a new and improved Dirk Nowitzki. Can still go out and have a great game without taking any threes, which was certainly the case Saturday night. Parker came up with a steal, 2-on-1. Here's Finley going all the way. Rebounded by Ginobili. Finley anticipating contact.
Well, Marvin, it's a nice start here for San Antonio. They've accomplished everything that they wanted out of the gates. They have the pace slowed down. Dallas has not been to the free throw line. Parker is tearing up Devin Harris, and at the other end, Harris has not been able to get on track.
Gabriel Solis.
Sorry, I missed it, Marv. I was actually watching the NBA playoffs. But
I switched back and forth.
Okay. In the meantime, her best man is off to a quick start here. 12 points for Parker. Exactly what Greg Popovich wanted.
Just under 5 remaining in this first quarter. Stackhouse coming up short and kept alive by Dampier. Nowitzki got the step and then try to set it up for Dampier. Here's Bowen to the left hand, and that's a goaltend.
Played off of Tim Duncan when the double team came. They had the small lineup out on the floor. That's the reason Greg Popovich has decided to start with this small lineup. They feel like they've figured something out against this Maverick defense.
Howard is fouled. Harris hit his first shot, and that's been it, but it's been all Tony Parker. 4 of 5 from the field, 4 for 4 from the line for 12 points, going up very effectively here tonight at the start against Harris. Here is Stackhouse for 3. Jerry Stackhouse in Game 3 on Saturday. 28 minutes, 10 points, but in the final seconds on the line, Steve, for those 2 shots, missed the first free throw, then looking to miss the second on purpose, failed to hit the rim. Parker again, and that gave San Antonio the ball. He said he's never practiced missing, so that's why he was way off.
Which is a good thing, but that is the truth. To try to miss a shot to get a rebound is a difficult thing to do, whether you want the rebound or whether you're trying to miss it just to run the clock out. Terry with the jumper. But that was almost a grave error by Stackhouse, because that gave San Antonio the chance to take the ball out of bounds on the side, and Ori ended up with a desperation shot that missed, but could have ended in disaster for Stackhouse. And
he got a call from his mom as Duncan gets inside. Nice pass. So Tim Duncan with his first field goal. His mom, Minnie Stackhouse, called Jerry late Saturday night. It was not a call of congratulations. He said normally when you do something bad at the end of the game, your mama is always the one that'll be like, oh, it's okay.
Keep Bowen out of foul trouble, and also that keeps Bowen, he wasn't missing a lot from the perimeter in those games. He was missing inside. I think he lost a little confidence. We've talked so much about what a great finisher he is in the lane. He was missing a lot of those floaters and leaners, and good to see him making those here early on if you're Greg Popovich.
Antonio, guy was shooting 55% from the field, as you saw during the regular season. Here is Parker going at Terry and scores again. Wow. 6 of 7, 16 points for Parker, and the Spurs now lead at 22-15. Let's go over to Cheryl.
And yesterday, guys, Tony Parker said he finally is 100% physically. Since game one, he's been bothered by a left quad contusion, bruised right thigh, and strained right hip. He's wearing a compression tights that are padded to protect those areas. And so far in this first quarter, he's been absolutely explosive.
See, he was honest with Cheryl. He's been telling everyone else, I'm okay. But obviously, he was bothered by the thigh injuries. Here's Parker again. Oh, beautiful fake. Too much of a fake. He's called for steps.
This is the attack mode that he needs from this team, especially right now with Tim Duncan on the bench.
San Antonio up by 7. Stackhouse. Played well by Horry. Angled to the right. Robert Horry on the floor for the first time. Came in just a moment ago. Horry starting the previous 2 games. Got in early foul trouble on Saturday night in Game 3. Pass intended for Parker, broken up.
That's when teams establish tempo. We saw it in New Jersey against Miami in those first 2 games. Ginobili with the little floater. We saw it in Chicago against Miami. All the games out west, same thing. You get off to that quick start, you establish your tempo, and if you can keep it going, you really got the advantage. And San Antonio absolutely has things going the way they want.
Ginobili from the blind side.
It did 2 things for San Antonio. One, it got Ginobili in a position where he was the focal point of the offense because either Parker or Duncan was on the bench when he came in. Number 2, it got Brent Berry involved in the series. The first 2 games, Berry had a tough time guarding Jerry Stackhouse, and by starting, Berry was able to cover Jason Terry. You see the rebound there, and another travel.
Picked up a second foul, sits down. Coming up on a minute remaining in this first quarter. San Antonio's played well. They lead at 24-15. Bowen now on Nowitzki. Terry cut off. Howard with the crossover. Howard, the tip missed by Nowitzki. Kept alive by Howard. Good hustle by Josh Howard.
Wow, what a sequence for Howard. He is so versatile. Kind of showed you everything there. The attack off the dribble, the offensive rebound, the long arms to track that ball down, and then the finish using that athleticism.
Parker goes to the pull-up. Howard pulled it back. Mavericks were looking to run. 8-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. And a foul is called on Finley if that game is necessary, followed by Game 6 of the Suns and the Clippers on Sunday on ABC.
Well, Greg Popovich going back to Tim Duncan. He's got 1 possession left here, and he'd love to finish the quarter with a score. And so Avery Johnson makes the counter move, brings back Sagana Diop for defense.
Oh, look out. Terry claiming that he was fouled. The final seconds of the first. Duncan, played by Diop with some help. Horry gets it up, and he draws the foul.
The long, athletic guys will fly out to the shooter, so
their whole tenor has changed. Not taking as many three-point shots. Defense improved. Here's Daniels going high off glass to end this first quarter.
But he's done an amazing job. The one thing I didn't expect, Marv, was for him to become a head coach less than a year after retirement. Remember, he took over Dallas late last season.
Most unusual, even though he took over a very good ball club. Second quarter gets underway as Howard comes up short, but most unusual without any head coaching experience. Don Nelson did insert him from time to time, but as Van Exel fires one up, rebounded by Howard. But so unusual to see this kind of success without having lots of experience. Terry for three. Nick Van Exel on the floor for the first time. Former Maverick. So Van Exel working the point. Coming out for Tony Parker. Duncan, Bowen, Ori, Finley, and Van Exel.
You better believe that as soon as Dirk is back, so too will Bruce Bowen.
Spurs shot 10 of 17, 59% from the field in the first quarter. Duncan's shot was blocked, and a 24-second violation.
Spurs shot about 59% in that first quarter, though. But Dallas now starting to tighten things up at the defensive end.
Marquise Daniels handling, he and Jason Terry in the backcourt. Eric Dampier, the regular season second best record in the West, right behind San Antonio. They finished 3 games behind the Spurs. Mavericks equaling their best record in franchise history. Stackhouse got inside. The tip came up short. And back comes Barry. Met by Daniels. Duncan played by Dampier. And as Finley made his move, 3-second violation is called.
What did Avery Johnson call those guys? His defensive backs. He said they're like cornerbacks in the NFL. They're so quick laterally that you pass out of a double team and swing the ball. Seems like they're right on top of you with the rotation.
Stackhouse to the fadeaway, and he is fouled.
And that one that will be ironed out for sure. One of the hottest clubs in the NBA by the end of the season. So they get the best record in the West, the first seed, and 2 terribly difficult draws in the first 2 rounds.
Last time the Spurs played the Mavs in the playoffs 3 years ago in the Western Conference Finals, a memorable series off the steal.
And defensive toughness. I mean, an entirely different approach to the way the game should be played. Remember that club led by Steve Nash, Van Exel, Finley, a shooting ball club. Ooh, Duncan with the quick move around Dampier. Now, you're right, this is an attacking, athletic, defensive-minded club.
Things picking up now as Howard hits at the other end. Spurs now lead 28-23. We're early in the second. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr and Cheryl Miller. In Dallas, Texas, Duncan again, and then gives it up. Barry for 3. Rebounded by Dampier. Terry on the move. Terry with the jumper. Finley rebound. See Barry checking with Greg Popovich over at the bench.
100 points or more, and 3 of those losses here in the playoffs. Ginobili with the big 3. But Greg Popovich told us, he said, this is all about defense for us. We've got to slow things down and get Dallas down in the 90s if we're going to win this game. They're obviously on pace to do that.
Yes, most of the way, it has been the pace that San Antonio would like. Nowitzki taking it to the rim, and he looks like he's hurting. Yeah. See the expression.
Yeah, he's limping. You can definitely see it. But, you know, he's a guy who's dealt with pain an awful lot. We've seen him sprain ankles, I think, more than any player that I can remember in recent years. So it's something he's dealt with in the past.
Barry open for 3. Brent Barry from downtown. That's his first field goal of the game. And the Spurs now lead 34-24. Oh, Terry around Ginobili. The speedy Jason Terry.
Played 2 big men. First it was David Robinson, then Nazr Mohammed, Rasho Nesterovic. But when you only have 1 big, you see Duncan there, he's got to stay out of foul trouble. So he has to avoid contact there. But, you know, without that second 7-footer in the lane, Dallas can attack.
Duncan. Ginobili with the steal. Ginobili, Van Exel, beautifully done.
Boy, Ginobili has such quick hands, Marvin. When he's at his best, that's what he's doing. We saw him knock down the 3. That's not really his game. He's a guy who loves to get loose balls, poke balls away, and then get out in transition, create plays.
Howard. We are suddenly seeing a layup drill for the Mavericks.
Yeah, I heard last night during the Clipper telecast, Doug and Kevin talking about it looked like a 6-5 and under league game. And you look around Duncan and Dampier, everybody in that range height-wise and a lot of speed.
That's a traveling violation. Draw contact, and as a result, it's called for the travel.
That's the fourth travel we've seen from San Antonio. Parker with 3 early ones, and now Bowen back in the game to cover Nowitzki.
7-point San Antonio lead, 5 minutes gone by. Second quarter, Howard took this by Dampier, and the foul on Dampier coming over the back. They have readjusted the clock. An excellent Barry at the guards. Ginobili's up front with Duncan and Bowen. Here's Ginobili for Duncan. Beautifully done. Arnold Ginobili with the assist. Tim Duncan with his third field goal. He has 6 points.
This Spurs team is totally different from what it was 4 or 5 years ago. Back then they were a throw it up, throw it inside team, stand around on the perimeter, make threes. Now they're an attacking ball club, and when Parker and Ginobili are playing like they are tonight, they are awfully tough to beat.
Oh, what a move by Stackhouse. Went to the spin and able to slam it home. 38-31. Spurs with the lead. San Antonio has shot very well at 58%. Dallas struggling. 40% shooting for the Mavs. Duncan played well by Dampier. Terry played on the switch by Bowen. So Barry defending on Stackhouse. And Dick Pavetta indicating a foul. Matt Devlin, Doc Rivers taking notes as he watches you handle the telestrator the way it should be handled.
I'm probably getting a call on my phone right now as he probably critiques my effort.
Nowitzki gets it down low for Dampier. And now pressure from the Mavericks, so Bowen is back to help. And now Dallas drops back as Ginobili handles. Game 4 of this Western Conference semi-final series. Tony Parker, winner of this series, advances to the Western Conference final, facing the winner between the Suns and the Clippers. Parker went right at Harris.
Right back at Devin Harris with Tony Parker in the penetration.
Courtside. Tony Parker, the high man with 18. Spurs lead by 7. Terry played by Parker. Harris now guarded by Ginobili. Dampier going at Duncan. What a strong move by Eric Dampier for his second field goal.
I think he caught Duncan off guard. The Spurs are so used to having to deal with Dirk Nowitzki in the half court that Dampier was able to get great position down on the block.
Duncan goes right back. But there is the feeling around the Spurs that he is feeling much better.
Well, I think a couple things have happened. Number one, he's excited. I mean, this is the playoffs, and we've got a technical foul here. Obviously, a lot of emotion. Such a critical game. I was watching NBA Classics last week, the Detroit Lakers series back in '88. Guys were knocking each other down every play, sending people to the hospital practically. No flagrant fouls back then, no technicals. It was a different game. They definitely restore order here early.
Nice move by Stackhouse over Parker. Well, in that era, if a guy took it to the rim and was knocked down, I don't mean viciously, it would be a foul.
Yeah.
You do that now, a knockdown usually will be a flagrant foul.
Yeah.
You don't play the ball.
And I mean, it's a rule change, and I agree with it, because there were times back then where things would get completely out of hand, and then you'd have fights. But now players know exactly what they're getting into.
Shot clock at 1. Bowen came up short, and it's a 24-second. Harris and Terry in the backcourt. Nowitzki with Stackhouse and Dampier on the front line. Terry tried to go to the rim and drew the foul on Aurora, blocking foul.
The league ought to do away with that arc, because it seems that so often a guy has perfect position.
Continues to pick up those frequent flyer miles, making the rounds in LA last night for the Clippers and the Suns. A D-League appearance, I'm told, in Fort Worth earlier today, and tonight it's the Spurs and the Mavericks. They're on their feet here in Dallas. 3 points, San Antonio lead. Ginobili to the crossover. Ginobili trying to go glass. Rebound snatched by Nowitzki. Terry on the open floor. Harris back to Terry for three. Yes. Slow start by the Mavericks, but they've come on. They've hit 8 of their last 10 shots.
And Duncan quickly comes back in the ballgame for the Spurs.
Coming up on 3 minutes to play in the first half. That's a chant the Mavericks did not hear in recent years. Chant of defense. Duncan got the hop. 11 points for Tim Duncan. San Antonio up by 2.
Well, they heard the chant, but it was more of a plea than a chant.
That's an offensive foul.
Because if you guard Nowitzki, then you've got to deal with Howard and Harris and Stackhouse. So a lot of leaks to fill for this San Antonio defense.
And that's why tonight he opened up with Michael Finley on Dirk Nowitzki, then came with Bruce Bowen. And Bowen is called for traveling.
Look at that game earlier tonight, which is now 2-2.
Nowitzki took a shot from Bowen, so that puts Nowitzki at the free throw line. First foul on Bowen. Nowitzki is 5 for 5 at the line.
A lot of opponents feel that Bowen should be called a little more often for moves like that. Very active with his hands, but for the Spurs, more of a pretty good sign. Remember, Dallas averaging 40 free throws a game in this series. Just 11 to this point, although they've made all 11.
Game is tied at 45. Will shoot 2.
Yeah.
But it has been brought up in the media in San Antonio. 2002, they lost to the Lakers in 5 in the Western Semis. 1998, lost to Utah in 5 in the semifinals.
I don't know that it means much, particularly because this is now a team that's won 3 championships in the last 7 years. I mean, you know they are mentally tough. You know they've been able to overcome a lot of challenges over the years. Harris knocks down the jumper. But this Spurs team, they know what it takes to win a championship, and being down 2-1 is an obstacle that they can overcome.
Game is tied at 47. Ginobili launches a 3. So that's 10 points for Ginobili. And San Antonio 3 of 5 from beyond that 3-point line.
That's a welcome sign. They have really struggled from beyond the arc in this series. They've only made 10 through 3 games.
Nowitzki. He was being guarded by Parker on a switch. No trouble releasing that shot. 17 points here in the first half for Dirk Nowitzki.
Once again, that switch defensively for San Antonio leaves the smaller Parker on Nowitzki, just shoots right over the top of him.
Parker. Oh, beautiful recovery by Ginobili, somehow getting inside.
This is when he's at his best. We talked about it earlier. When he knocks down the jumper from the perimeter, Marv, it seems to give him that extra boost of confidence that he needs, because his game is really about penetration and speed.
Harris. Devin Harris, 3 of 3 from the field. This is only his 3rd career playoff start. Sensational game Saturday night. 7 of 14, 24 points, 10 of 11 at the line, and a foul is called.
Speed has given San Antonio fits
against Detroit. And they've tied that series at 2, and a look back at what took place in this first half. We're down to a half minute remaining. Spurs up now 53-51. San Antonio is led by as many as 9. Harris working beautifully with Stackhouse. The lob on target, and the game is tied.
Beautifully designed play from Avery Johnson, knowing that the Spurs are so concerned with Harris's penetration. The help came from the corner. Stackhouse with the lob.
Parker running the clock down. We're final second. Parker. Shot blocked by Harris. Here comes Terry. And he fires. And Mavs 13 of 20 from the floor in the second quarter after opening up 7 of 19. Tied at 53. Dallas in possession. Nowitzki to the fadeaway. That's impossible to stop.
I was about to say the same thing. You can't do anything. I mean, Bowen played him perfectly. He's 7 feet. He jumps well, and he shoots from behind his head. So nothing else Bowen could do.
And Bowen does give away about 5 inches on Nowitzki. Mavericks on the run. Here's Howard. Swept by Finley. Greg Popovich going with the lineup that started the game. The one change, Michael Finley instead of Robert Horry. So the Spurs going small. Tim Duncan is the big man along with Bowen and Barry, Parker, and Finley. And Tim Duncan with 2 more points. He now has 13 along with 5 rebounds.
What a beautiful feed from Brent Barry, just feathering that ball right over the top of the defense.
Job sends the pick. Here's Howard. Parker with Finley on the wing. Parker kicks it out. Finley wide open. Yes.
Well, San Antonio doesn't want to run too much, but they want to take advantage of the opportunities they have, Marvin. Even though that was sort of a 2-on-3, you get a wide open look for Michael Finley. You take it.
Harrison, Cherry in the backcourt. Here's Howard up front with Nowitzki and jump. Brown wanted a foul. Cherry just did beat the shot clock. Avery Johnson cannot be happy with the spacing on that last sequence. Howard actually intercepted a pass that was meant for Nowitzki.
Oh, the shot clock running down. Dallas was a little scattered offensively.
Foul on jump. Has had his ups and downs
from the free throw line, but he has had his moments in his career where he's found a groove. I think shot 80% one season, but for the most part, well, that's been the one area of the game that has really bothered him. He's a very conscientious guy, cares so much about everything that I think he puts a little too much pressure on himself when he does get to the line.
Nice pass from Stackhouse. Josh Howard. 8 points for Howard, and the Spurs now lead 59-57. Trying to tie this series at 2, Game 5 back in San Antonio on Wednesday night and right here on TNT. Parker got the step, but he drew the foul. Greg is a wine enthusiast, very much involved in the world of wine. Pop can go several hours on how the grapes react to cool and warm air and other matters.
Yeah, well, if his team doesn't win tonight, he may be drowning his sorrows in some of that wine. Guy with a lot of different interests. We walked into his office before the game. He's got CNN, Lou Dobbs on, talking about the integration issue. Jason Terry knocks down the jumper. Popovich, a very interesting man, attended the Air Force, spent time there, and got a lot of different interests, but basketball is his passion. And Popovich has built a foundation here in San Antonio to take any of the credit. He knows how lucky he's been.
San Antonio 63-19 in the regular season. Best record in the West. Best record in the history of the franchise. Opening round, beat Sacramento in 6. Try to tie this series at 2. Terry is open for 3. Jason Terry from downtown, and the game is tied at 62.
Now, miscommunication defensively. You can't rotate off of Jason Terry. Greg Popovich has made him a priority, and he should not get any open shot after a double team.
Here's Parker. Tony Parker has had a sensational game right from the start. 7 of 11, 22 points. Spurs back up by 2. Now Barry defending on Nowitzki. And nearly picked off by Finley.
He had that huge playoff series against Houston last year. And he's done an excellent job spreading the floor. The steal by San Antonio.
Crowd wanted a foul on Duncan on a reach-in. Nowitzki was upset. There's Duncan going at Dampier. Yes, and it counts. 2 games to 1. Avery said, we have no answer for Tim Duncan.
Yeah, well, they do have 18 fouls to use between Dampier, Jop, and Nowitzki. They just may use all of them tonight.
Duncan switching off to Terry. Harris starts to make his move.
Tony Parker says in game 1 of this series, he's been great, very aggressive. He says, I've seen him starting to shoot those bank shots, and I haven't seen that for a while. It's great to see the old Timmy Duncan to this level.
All right, Cheryl, Jerry Stackhouse knocks down a 3. He has 14, and it brings the Mavericks within 2. Parker goes to the pull-up. He is met by Dampier. Tony Parker on fire. 8 of 12, 24 points. A bounce-back performance coming off game 3. Stackhouse wide open. Another 3 for Jerry Stackhouse.
Well, that's the problem, Marv, when you're constantly switching everything on the perimeter. Occasionally you get lost, which is exactly what happened right there. That's why Stackhouse is left wide open.
Mavericks take the lead. That was blocked from behind. Harris cut off by Ginobili. And a foul is called on Parker.
Becomes a switch. Spurs normally like to do that late in the shot clock, not so much early, but that's what they've had to resort to playing this small lineup.
Correction on the score. It's the Spurs 69 and the Mavericks 68. Shot clock rolling down. Terry off the mark. Duncan not able to handle that pass that was thrown astray. Stackhouse, this time met by Bowen. There's Stackhouse to the rim. Terry took a shot in the forehead. Parker, that's an offensive foul. Yet fascinating material. You are brought to us by Sharp Aquos LCD TV. It's a double plug. Shot clock down to 5. Nowitzki angling, and he draws the foul. During the regular season among the leaders.
2 7-footers, starting with David Robinson and more recent years, Rasho Nesterovic, Nazi Muhammad. They're going small, and we talked about this in the first half. It's forcing them to scramble, to switch, and to rotate, and it's just not the same team we're used to seeing.
Dallas up by 1. Duncan. Mavericks have had the lead for brief time here in this third quarter. Harris played well by Ginobili. Pass deflected. Parker is on it. He has Barry. Parker goes all the way. Will he get the... Well, it did not drop.
Very few players in the NBA can actually take it.
Parker hitting 1 of 2, and the game is tied at 70. Game 4 of this Western Conference semifinal series. Dallas with a 2-1 lead. San Antonio trying to tie it. Game 5 in the Animal City coming up on Wednesday night here on TNT. Stackhouse. Strong game for Stackhouse. 19 points for Jerry Stackhouse.
A tough matchup for Brent Berry. Stackhouse just bigger and stronger and very long and athletic, and he's been able to get that shot off against Berry throughout this series.
Duncan, yes, went right at Dampier, and the game is tied at 72.
Boy, he has been phenomenal throughout this series, creating contact with Dampier and still able to finish the play.
Terry lost his balance. And Ginobili fouled by Howard. Looked worn down, did sit out for a while with San Antonio back up by 2. Dallas here at home won 34 of 41 during the regular season. Tied with the Spurs' second best home record in the league. Here's Terry. Yes. The game is tied at 74. Meanwhile, San Antonio on the road at 29-12. That's the best road record in the NBA.
Well, this is the biggest one of the year tonight. And let's see if Dallas can defend Duncan. Parker with the penetration.
Tipped by Duncan. Crowd looking for the foul on Duncan. Teams and was a teammate of Michael Jordan. One of your greatest moments. Game 6, 2003 West Final Series right here in Dallas. As Ginobili knocks it down, he scored 12 points, going 4 for 4 from three-point range, and led a fourth-quarter rally that saw the Spurs outscore the Mavs 34-9. Spurs went on to defeat the Nets 4-2 in the NBA Finals. And now that we've been allowed,
and we'll see how long Greg Popovich can afford to keep him on the bench. Remember, he put him there in the first half for less than a minute. Dallas made a little mini run, so he can't afford to keep him over there for too long.
Nowitzki now being played by Barry. Dirk Nowitzki, 7 of 8 from the field, 9 for 9 from the line for 23 points.
How about the offensive efficiency of both teams, Marv? The Spurs shooting 56%, Dallas at almost 53%.
Ginobili to the step back. Nowitzki with the rebound. Game tied at 76. We approach 2 minutes remaining in the third. Terry going at Finley. Harris. Shot clock to 7. Nowitzki. Oh, the steal by Ginobili. And he'll take the distance.
Wow, the long arms and the quick feet of Manu Ginobili coming out of nowhere to make that steal.
Spurs up by 2. Stackhouse with the lob. Knocked away from Dampier. And it's jump ball. Horry and Stackhouse. Controlled by Dallas. Stackhouse passed on a 3, and then he's tripped up.
Rasho got in for 1 minute, but normally those are the guys who are coming over. What they have to do given the matchups in this series.
And missed by Stackhouse. The first free throw missed by the Mavericks here tonight. So they're 14 of 15 at the line. Spurs 21 of 24. San Antonio up by a point. Parker. Beautifully done. He went at Harris and then changed up and was able to finish with the scoop shot.
I don't know if San Antonio could play any better offensively. Mark Parker with 27, Duncan 22, Ginobili 18. But the question is, can they stop Dallas? That's going to make the difference in the fourth quarter.
Stackhouse. It counts, and a foul. The foul away from the ball. Nowitzki and Ginobili separated. We're having problems with this team. He said they've broken our defense down more than anyone ever has.
Well, even against Phoenix last year in the conference finals, Popovich could find somebody for his big guy to cover. I think last year they put Duncan on Quentin Richardson, knowing that he was more of a spot-up shooter. But with this quick Dallas lineup, there's nobody for Nesterovic or Muhammad to guard without being exposed. Really having a mini run here, getting to the free throw line.
And has come back strong since he's been placed on the floor in the starting lineup. Harris with the save and called for time. Mavericks have a full 24. Game tied at 80. Harris lost it. Recovered by Dampier. Kevin Harris will say, give me an assist.
Yeah.
Mavericks lead by 2, and San Antonio works the clock. There is a 5-second differential between the shot clock and game clock. Horry sets the pick. Brown wanted to travel. He traveled twice. 8 seconds left in the third. Terry angles right, gets the step, and scores. There's 1 second to go in the quarter. Beautiful move by Terry. Finley was waved off.
You to dictate the action as you get going in the final 12 minutes.
Nick Van Exel back on the floor. San Antonio remains small. The lone big man is Duncan. Finley rebounded by Stackhouse. Harris and Terry in the backcourt. Dampier, Daniels. Beautiful move by Harris. It counts. And the foul.
So quick and long-armed. Really finishes well at the rim.
That was number 4 on Van Exel, and the Mavericks now lead it by 7. 10 unanswered by Dallas, going back to that final minute of the third. Barry straight down the lane and went to the left hand. 87-82. And you can see the quick transition by the Mavericks, wasting no time to get to that front court. Marquise Daniels, Gary Stackhouse, played here by Bruce Bowen. Stackhouse to the fadeaway. Barry on the rebound. Bowen for 3.
Well, you can hear the entire crowd screaming. They know how effective Bruce Bowen is from that spot in the corner.
Daniels is wide open. Took it to the rim. And the foul.
On these Dallas drivers, they know it. They're attacking every possession.
3-point play for the 3-year man out of Auburn, Marquise Daniels. 90-82, Dallas. Minute and a half gone by in the fourth. Tony Parker is back, replacing Nick Van Exel. Ginobili for 3. Manu Ginobili from downtown to bring San Antonio within 5.
This is just an incredible display of offense from both teams. Ginobili now with 21.
Dampier try to set the pick for Stackhouse. Daniels again attacking. Finley with the rebound. Look out, Terry fell down, and Parker had nowhere to go. He's met by Dampier. Makes the recovery. Saved by Duncan. Ginobili from the other side for 3. Manu Ginobili. Back-to-back threes. One from the left wing and one from the right wing to bring the Spurs within 2.
What a turn of events. Tony Parker had the wide open layup, turned it down, and the Spurs end up getting an extra point as a result.
Stackhouse changed his mind. Dirk Nowitzki getting set to make his return. Good job by Bowen to stop Stackhouse. Stackhouse thought he was fouled. Parker puts the move on Daniels. Here's Parker. We're tied at 90.
Well, I guess the moral of the story is don't put your superstar on the bench. I mean, as soon as Nowitzki goes out, the Spurs make a huge run. The level of play of both the teams and the individuals, just amazing here.
Game 5 in San Antonio Wednesday night, and right here on TNT. 3 minutes in, fourth quarter. Here's Harris, got the step. It counts, and the foul.
The ability to get to the rim and finish with the offhand. Harris, another good game here tonight.
Slow start, but he has come on. Dallas up by 2. That ends the 8-0 run for San Antonio, sparked by Manu Ginobili. Hit a couple of threes. Duncan in heavy traffic, and the game is tied at 92.
You can see the Mavericks still reluctant to send that total double team. They're kind of helping a little bit, but not fully committing a double to Duncan. He knows that. That's why he's attacking the rim with ease right now.
Finley back on Nowitzki. Here's Nowitzki. That's a rare miss. Howard puts it in play. Harris now guarded by Ginobili. Parker on Terry. Game is tied at 92. Terry. Rebounded by Parker. The winner of this series advances to the Western Conference Final, facing the winner between the Suns and the Clippers. Ginobili. Duncan on the follow.
The long arm of the law. He just reaches over Josh Howard, steals that rebound away, putting the Spurs up 2.
26 for Duncan. Finley giving away 5-6 inches on Nowitzki. He's missed his last 2. He had hit 7 straight shots.
And with Bowen with 4 fouls, Finley's getting a few minutes here on Nowitzki, doing a pretty nice job.
Finley with a driving hook, and Finley tried to save it. Job playing with 4 personal fouls. So 2 big men on the floor now for Dallas. Job set the pick. Terry. Yes. Once again, the game is tied.
I like what Avery Johnson did there. Switch up the screen and roll, take Nowitzki out of the play, force San Antonio to react. And they've had so many different looks from Dallas tonight, it's tough to recover.
That's a deep teardrop. San Antonio with a 96-94 lead.
How about the big three for San Antonio? 26 for Duncan, 31 for Parker, and Ginobili with 24.
Harris, time forced the issue, along with 4 steals. National television coverage necessary. That series tied up at 2. That game will be played Sunday on ABC. It'll be either Game 7 of an Eastern Conference semifinal series or Game 1 of the Eastern Finals. Tied at 96, 6.5 remaining in the 4th. And a foul is called. Harry, Parker, Finley, Bowen, and Duncan on the floor now for the Spurs. Here's Parker. Set it up for Duncan, and Duncan may have grabbed the rim. The ball was deflected out of bounds. Last touch by Dallas.
Job got his hand on it or not.
Crowd wanted a foul on Parker, who fires one up. And it's a 24-second violation. And Jim Clark is telling Avery Johnson who does not agree with the call. Jim Clark saying that it grazed the rim.
Well, it didn't look like it from that angle either, so I think San Antonio gets a break here.
From the home crowd. And now an offensive foul.
That's that moving screen.
6 minutes remaining in the 4th. Game tied at 96. Terry did not have the good angle, and the officials checking with each other. Dick prevented the outside official, and looking over at Jim Clark. It is Dallas ball as we resume. The game is tied at 96, just under 6 remaining in the 4th quarter. Harris, Bowen with the rebound. Spurs have led by as many as 9. Mavericks have led by as many as 8. This game has been tied 18 times. We've had 6 lead changes. Finley for 3. Yes! Michael Finley against his former team. Hits from downtown. San Antonio up 99-96. Nowitzki on a quick release. Rebounded by Duncan.
Well, there's the dilemma for Dallas. They finally bring the double team onto Duncan, and that's what you give up. The open look and the ex-Maverick trying to be a Maverick killer here tonight.
Offensive foul.
That's a tough call if you're a San Antonio fan.
Eric Dampier is back, coming on for Sagana Chop. Terry. Jason Terry has been outstanding. That's 22 for Terry. San Antonio's lead is 1. Tony Parker with 31 points. He's equal to playoff career high. Tim Duncan. With Dallas only their 2nd team foul. San Antonio has 4. Howard up on Finley. Shot clock to 3. Parker, yes.
Boy, has he been good tonight. That's a career playoff high. 33 points now for Tony Parker. 12 of 20 shooting.
Spurs by 3. Terry. Duncan with the rebound. Here's the outlet for Finley. Nowitzki back. Finley goes right at him. Finley stuffs. Michael Finley taking all the way, going at Dirk Nowitzki, and put it down.
Oh, God. That was the Michael Finley of old.
San Antonio 103. Dallas 98. Just under 4 remaining on the 4th. Nowitzki. Duncan is caught on the foul.
Well, the Spurs are going to come up with a technical, too. The question is not if his feet were outside the lines. It's whether he had position or not.
A delay of game called on the Spurs, their 2nd violation. Shoot the 2 for the personal foul. He's 10 of 11 at the line. As we mentioned earlier, 26 points for Nowitzki, and Dallas within 2. A game of desperation for the Spurs, who do not want to head back to San Antonio trailing 3-1. Duncan. Ginobili is on it. Here's Ginobili, and he's fouled.
Tonight, 33-25. They are quicker to the basketball.
Both teams have shot well at the foul line. Spurs lead 105-101 as we come up on 3 minutes to play in the fourth. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr and Cheryl Miller. We're in Dallas. Harris puts the move on Finley. Duncan with the rebound. Good box out on Dampier.
And terrific defense by Michael Finley, keeping his body in front of Harris and forcing the difficult shot.
On 2500 Victory Avenue, Steve, as you know.
Yeah, I do know. You pointed that out at halftime.
Just under 3 to go in the fourth. Parker, rebounded by Nowitzki. Dallas in possession, down by 4. And Harris sets it up. And here with the pick. Terry had it knocked away, and he's fouled by Ginobili. Manu Ginobili with another strong game, but he is fouled out, and Terry takes advantage. The San Antonio lead is now to 2. Just under 2.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. It is on the line here for the defending NBA champions. Try to tie the series at 2. Duncan feeling for Dampier. Shot clock down to 3. Down to 2. Here's Parker to the fade. And the save by Dampier. Under 2 minutes left in the fourth. Terry passed on a 3. Stackhouse now played by Bowen. Nowitzki guarded by Parker. Stackhouse, 3 on the clock. Scores! The game is tied at 105.
Oh, a tough shot from Stackhouse. Just an amazing level of basketball we're seeing here tonight.
Minute and a half to play in the fourth. Shot clock to 5. Duncan, yes. San Antonio up by 2.
Nice ball movement from San Antonio. The action, the dribble weave, that doesn't allow Dallas to find any defensive help for Eric Dampier.
Stackhouse digging. Goes to the pull-up. And it's handled by Finley. 1 minute to play in the fourth. San Antonio with the ball and a 2-point lead. Parker. Played well by Harris. Duncan goes right at Dampier, spinning, and draws the foul. Duncan is 6 of 6 at the line and getting the treatment from the crowd. San Antonio too full and a 20. Duncan hits 1 of 2. The Spurs lead by 3. Terry to the rim and is fouled.
Dominated at the free throw line in the first 3 games of this series. The Dallas roster, so he's the guy most likely to come down on Duncan if Dallas does decide to come after him.
And the Spurs turn it over on the inbound.
They turned it over late in game 3. Now another one, and the Mavericks with a chance to take the lead.
Nowitzki, played by Parker. Battle for the rebound, kept alive. Here's Terry. Yes! With 23 seconds to play, Dallas has taken a 1-point lead. Finley gets it into Barry. Here's Duncan. Finley for 3. Yes! Michael Finley from downtown comes up with another clutch shot.
Again, they don't want to run the clock too far down because if they miss, they need to create another opportunity for themselves.
San Antonio in the penalty. Nowitzki's missed his last 4 shots. Played by Bowen as he makes his move. We get the call on Bowen. It's number 5.
Has a chance to at least tie the game here for Dallas. They will automatically call the time.
Nowitzki hits the free throw.
We'll see if Parker, the Spurs have run a play in the past where Parker will go to the corner and then feed Duncan. Looks like they're trying to run it now.
Duncan, guarded by Dampier. Duncan is isolated. Final seconds. Here's Duncan for the win. We're headed to overtime. The big men, either Nazem Muhammad or Russia Nesterovic, as they did throughout the regular season. Rick Popovich feeling that was the way they could match up with the speed of the Mavericks. So Dallas controls the opening tip of this 5-minute overtime session. Nowitzki has missed his last 4 shots, goes at Duncan, and then kicked it out. It opens it up for Terry for 3. Way off. Harris able to field it. Dampier with an offensive board. And they have a new shot clock. Last time Nowitzki scored was late in the 3rd quarter. Last time he hit a field goal. Here's Terry with the step. And scores. And a magnificent performance by Jason Terry. He now has 30 points.
And once again, the switching defense of the Spurs allows Jason Terry to be matched up with Duncan way out on the perimeter. He knows there's no shot blocker under there.
Here's Parker, went to the reverse, sweeping by Nowitzki. Harris on the run all the way. And Dallas has taken a 115-111 lead. San Antonio calls the tie.
But the Spurs need a score here. Gotta go back into Duncan.
Mentioned Parker's strong start. Hit 6 of his first 7 shots. Since then, only 6 of 16 from the field.
And if that happens, then you've got Nowitzki having to slide down to Duncan.
Duncan working on Jock. Duncan rejected by Jock. Harris puts the speed on and lost it. Lost the dribble. Finley with Barry on the wing. Finley for 3. Dallas on the run again. Harris had it knocked away. A second consecutive turnover.
There's so much emphasis on pushing the ball for Devin Harris that twice in a row he loses the ball, commits a turnover.
Duncan, oh, what a move. He went to the left hand to bank it home. And San Antonio is down by 2, just under 3 minutes to play in this OT.
What an amazing basketball game.
31 points for Duncan. Terry. And a push-out. Just under 2.5 remaining in overtime. The steal by Terry. Took it away from Barry. Here's Terry. He missed the stuff. Stackhouse is right there. Mavericks lead 117-113 as we approach 2 minutes to play in overtime. Bowen for 3. Yes. And Bowen cuts the lead down to 1.
This is ridiculous.
Just under 2 minutes to go in overtime. Dallas looking to go up 3-1 in the series. San Antonio trying to tie it at 2. Terry went to the fadeaway. 32 points for Terry. 119-116. The Mavericks with the lead. A minute and 35 left in overtime. Duncan backing Chop. Rebounded by Nowitzki. And Terry moves across deliberately. Now they're looking to use the clock. Now Down to 10 on the 24. Harris cutting in and scores. He went right at Duncan. The Mavericks lead 121-116. Finley off the fake is fouled by John.
Spurs need a stop, and then they've got a major advantage with Duncan going against Nowitzki.
Check that, 32 points, just shy of a playoff career high. 3-point lead for Dallas. And again, Mavericks in no hurry. See Terry checking with Avery Johnson over at the bench. Shot clock now to 7. Terry, then on a switch by Duncan. Down to 3. Terry launches a rainbow and scores! Jason Terry extends to a 5-point lead. And the next foul would put Dallas in the penalty. Parker gets the pick from Duncan, goes at Nowitzki, and he draws the foul.
2 critical ones. He has to make both of them.
Rebounded by Stackhouse. And Stackhouse gets to the front court. And just was looking to hold on to the ball, and he is fouled.
So if you're Dallas, you want to get the ball to either Nowitzki or Terry here. Your best free throw shooters.
Next foul puts San Antonio over the limit. Nowitzki. San Antonio has to foul. They did not want to foul Nowitzki, but they have to foul.
Well, Bowen's reluctant to do so because he's got 5 fouls, but you got to foul.
Stackhouse. Foul thought is a 24-second violation. Here's Finley firing, and that will do it. The Dallas Mavericks have defeated the San Antonio Spurs 123-118 in overtime, and they have taken a 3-1 lead